We're in?
Yeah.
Okay, let's stand for the pledge for Village Board meeting, May 26th, 2021. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Still pulling up the agenda.
The land acknowledgement as a way of respecting, honoring, and creating awareness about our past. We begin our village board meetings by acknowledging that New Paltz is on the ancestral land of the Munsee, Esopus, and Lenape people. Where my meeting just went. There it is. Yeah, okay, let me add. Items to add to the business agenda. Number 8, resolution memorializing support of Pride. Item 9, resolution regarding the Compassionate New York memorializing. And that is the only 2 items to add to the agenda. Is that right, Ari? Is there anything to add to the consent?
No.
Motion to move or approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor? KT, do you want to walk us through announcements for the mural display at Peace Park?
Yes.
Tell us what that project is about.
So Ari, if you could share that piece of art, is the link in the agenda?
Yeah, the link is in the agenda, and things that I'm sharing, I can't be typing.
Okay.
Actually, it's not entirely true. Here, I can do it. I've done it once before. I can make this happen.
Okay. So basically, this is an announcement about a Piglets project. A bunch of Piglet students, I'll let you know who they are in a second, created this piece of artwork that encompasses a variety of social justice issues. And as their final project, they want to share the art with the community to facilitate a conversation about these important topics. So what they wrote about this, just trying to pull up their statement, which is really wonderful, so they talk about how when the mural was created, it was for an assignment about what it means to be a citizen of the United States, and in the piece, they wanted to depict complicated layers of being an American. In the middle, we can see Ari brought it up now, a white picket fence representing the typical American dream of freedom, prosperity, and success. Above the fence, you see the corruption in America and how money and fiscal opulence rules even the ruling class that benefits off the poor. Below the picket fence, you see the darkest parts of our country, the things that get ignored but are too atrocious to continue to do so. Human trafficking, forced labor with deplorable conditions, racism, and acknowledgement to heightened race relations in our country, Islamophobia. And
can I interrupt you? It's possibly it's not possible to understand a single word you say. I don't know whether it's the mic too close or too far, or whether it's the acoustics in the room, but I don't understand anything what you said so far. Can you do anything?
You just talk more slowly.
Seems like she should be coming out of that, not your computer.
Sorry?
Oh.
We might, thank you, we might have an issue.
How do I exit from screen?
Escape.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. It's not connected. That's why. I mean, it was, but.
Give it a whirl, Katie. Talk now.
Can you hear me now? Is it better now? Anybody?
A little better. Maybe if
Okay.
you wouldn't speak, maybe if you wouldn't speak so loud, maybe it would be even better. Or is it the mic that it's very loud?
It wasn't connected in some way, so
Still
now
coming
it's
out of
connected
here, right?
differently.
Yeah. It shouldn't be coming out of his computer though.
And maybe this computer.
Maybe somebody else should
Well-
try connecting to this. Because remember last time I didn't want to use my computer.
Right,
I cut it
right.
out, so that's why I was
Maybe
Right.
try this one. Is
Okay,
this
so
a
how
newer
do I do
computer?
that?
Find the Bluetooth, it's the bottom right, there should be a power up. Here, let me make it come around. Yeah, not the Bluetooth. Does it go on button? Yeah. Click add. Must be it. It should be one of this conference. There it is. This one? Yeah. All right, do you guys hear us now?
I hear you.
Say a few sentences. Hopefully it will be better.
All right.
Okay, so basically what I was reading, there's a link on the agenda, but just to wrap it up, as their final project, they wanted to share the art with the community in order to raise awareness, stimulate consciousness, and make people think about our country and their part in what goes on in it. New Paltz is such a small place where not much happens that it's easy to ignore things happening in the world and not only be unable to recognize how complicit we are, but we also forget how much power we have to make a difference. So Peace Park, Friday, June 5th, I think it is, or 4th, thank you. 4 o'clock, Peace Park, and they're gonna have their art there, and we're still figuring out, but we're going to have it up for a while. We're still figuring that part out. But the students' names are Paris White, Richi Patel, Alana, Florencia Wayne, Queen Irving, and this is part of their Piglets project. So we're really excited about it and happy to host it as the village. And then the second exciting announcement that we have is that the 5 of us decided individually to chip in and offer a scholarship to a graduating senior towards a college education and eventual career towards use in making the world a better place. And we're calling it we should call it the Village of New Paltz Class of 21 Social Justice Scholarship. I just made it longer than it was, but that's basically what it is. And it's for up to $500. We're announcing it today. The application deadline is June 18th, and we will announce the award winner at the second village board meeting in June, which is the 23rd, which is 2 days before the graduation. So there's particulars about it. It's basically students who are intentionally focused on peace and equity efforts, and they've chosen a career and have or a college, I should say, and a career path dedicated to that. We will consider financial need in the selection of students from traditionally marginalized populations, but it will not be the sole determining award factor, and that's legalese. Please alert students who may be eligible, and the application is a personal statement from the student about their social justice commitment, where applicable, description of financial need or inclusion in a traditionally marginalized population, and a recommendation from someone who can describe the student's engagement with social justice issues and activities. And our immediate family is not eligible. If you have any questions, please email me at ktobin@villageofnewpaltz.org. Ooh, how long am I going to have that email address? I just realized.
Until Santa gets
Yeah.
sworn in, yeah.
Okay, so if we need to
June 1st
change it,
maybe.
we'll put this information on social media and on the website, and please send it along to students who you think might be eligible. Oof. The other announcement, we wanted to make an announcement about a missing person. I did hear just before the meeting, I'm trying to pull the information up. His name is Andy, and he has some New Paltz connections. He's been missing from walking out of the hospital emergency room with mental health issues in Poughkeepsie. So there's a big search for him, and there's a Facebook page, Find Andy Neiman. I did hear that there was a possibly legit sighting in Kingston either earlier today. But if you want to check out the Facebook group, it's Find Andy Neiman in the Hudson Valley, May 2021.
I just wanted to make a quick announcement about Pride in the Park happening on Saturday, June 5th, 1 to 5 in Hasbrook Park. Rain date the following day at the same time, same place.
You want to then just go ahead and move the resolution at this time?
Sure. Does that make sense? However you want. Let me pull it up.
While you're doing that, we were just saying, there's still, if you haven't been vaccinated yet, there's still a state site at the fairgrounds that's walk up, and I'm up to all of my kids have at least their first shot, and so every time I've gone with them or they've gone, it's been pretty quick in and out, smooth like butter. So please, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, and the county's giving rides, so if you go to the county website, the county COVID website, which you can link to from our COVID page, or you can just Google Ulster County COVID, it comes right up. There's lots of other places that you can get vaccinated as well.
Well, for that resolution, I kind of wanted to read like the therefore
You want
part.
to wait and do it later?
Yeah, so that probably would make sense.
Okay, so other announcement, this is KT Tobin, Dr. KT Tobin's last meeting, so we want to thank her for her service. Very sorry to see her go. And that's my announcement. Thanks for looking out for our village.
Thanks for coming.
Please don't lose our phone number.
Oh my God.
We're not losing yours.
Thank you. You four are the best.
What about Ariana?
Sorry. Ari knows that. She knows what we're talking about.
I know there's love. I'm not worried. You will be missed, Casey.
Ari and I go
Okay, let's
farther
move
than any of you.
into the public hearings that we currently have open. So we'll start with the accessory dwelling unit. We received a written response from Noah Simon, sorry. And Noah had two suggestions. One was to increase the maximum size of a permitted accessory dwelling unit, because we currently have in the proposed law, it would be 35% of the primary unit, and the minimum size is 300 square feet. But then the maximum size would be 35% of the primary. Noah was suggesting we consider 50%. My thought on that is then you're really talking about a two-family dwelling and not a single-family dwelling with an accessory dwelling unit. I think it's, we have a mechanism for that. So that would just be, a different situation. And then Noah's other comment had to do with number of bedrooms. If the number of bedrooms is staying the same, but you're increasing the units because you're creating that accessory dwelling unit, that there would not be a recreation fee. The problem that we're going to have with that, and we've gone over this before, is recreation fees have nothing to do with the number of bedrooms. Per state law, recreation fees have to do with the number of units. So what we're looking to do in this proposed law is, if it's only a new unit that's an accessory dwelling unit, the fee would be 50% of the fee in our law. And we already made a change to try to manage this unique situation where the way state law is currently articulated, whether you build a McMansion or whether you build a studio apartment, a unit's a unit. So you could assess a recreation fee regardless of the size. So what we did several years ago in our recreation fee law is that we have different recreation fees depending on the size of the unit. So I think that's also important to consider. And we can't tie recreation fees back to bedrooms. I mean, many people have thought about that as a solution, but we've been counseled that by our attorney that's just, you don't want to go down that path when you're leaning on state law and considering recreation fees. I'm going to propose that we keep the accessory dwelling unit law open. Did we receive any other feedback, or is there anyone from the public this evening wanting to make a comment about this proposal? Anything, Ariana?
I don't think so, no. I think
Okay.
other people want to speak on other topics, not this one, yeah.
Okay, and then moving on, so we'll keep that public hearing open, and then we also have a public hearing regarding zoning map amendments. Is there anyone from the public who wanted to comment on the change to our zoning map?
I would like to say something. I've been a resident of New Paltz for the past 20 years, and we are at that stage of our life where we would like to have, transition to a townhouse or something from a single dwelling. And unfortunately, I mean, we love New Paltz. We wouldn't want to move anywhere else. And we don't have that much possibility. There are not too many townhomes available here. And so fortunately, I had the opportunity to go to Cooper Street, and I understood that there are like 3 plots or something, that there is a possibility that one could put up townhouses there. And I think it would be a perfect location, because on one side there would be the single family homes, and then in front, which is facing 32 north, there are the apartments or the condos. And in between, if we had something like townhomes, that would be, I think, perfect. Just as a setup too, it would be transitioning from single to townhouses to the apartments. And it is ideally situated. And I think not only for people like us, but also for young people that come as a starter home or something. I think it's so important. We don't have that. We have like really nice big houses, but for young families too, I think it would be a great idea to have some more townhouses if possible. And I think one could consider Cooper Street, that would be an ideal location. Besides, of course, it is a net zero energy. The whole concept is net zero energy. And knowing us, New Paltzers, we are so conscious of, what we are using, what we are consuming, and what we want to do, and for our future. So I think that would be a perfect plan. And I think if it would be zoned as such, that would be extremely good and helpful and beneficial for the whole community as a whole, I think.
Great, thank you for your comment. Anyone else want to make a comment about the proposal to update the zoning map?
I'd like to, Tim.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah. David Shepler, 18 Cooper Street. I just wanted to add, Hila's story is not unique. I can't tell you the number of people who've approached me in the context of Zero Place and beyond, asking about other housing options in New Paltz. It's quite a common refrain. I think many of you have probably heard it. And I just wanted to update you that I've completed sitting down with everybody who's within eyesight of those 3 plots, and all but a couple folks in the entire neighborhood of the 16 residents here, and everybody to a person supports this. And you've seen that for yourself at these public hearings. There has been no resistance to this at all. And I just urge you guys to act quickly for these zoning changes so that we can bring these kinds of housing options to New Paltz. Okay.
Thanks for your feedback. Do we have anyone else who is waiting to make a comment on this public hearing?
Not on this public hearing. No.
Okay. So we shared this with our colleagues on the county planning board. Did we receive feedback from them?
It was not yet shared. That was the email I was talking to you about earlier with the type 1 action stuff. Stephanie's in the process of sharing it with them.
Okay, so we're working with our attorney to make sure we are, working through the process to, have the county planning board review this as well. So we'll keep this yes, and we'll keep this public hearing open. And then anyone want to make a comment on the proposal to update the B1 and B2 zones? I did get feedback from Floyd Niffen. Floyd was on the committee when the NBR was recently updated. His comments were pretty granular. By and large, he was very supportive of these changes. So we can put some of his changes into the proposed law to consider. But other than that, we have not received any other comments from the public. So I'm going to suggest that we keep this public hearing open. Anyone want to make a public comment on any other topic? We have a few public comments that have already been submitted, but is there anyone here who is not listed on the agenda and would like to make a comment about any topic? Well, then we could probably, Misha Harnick, we received your written comment. Do you want to make a verbal comment now?
Well, you received my verbal, my written comment, and as far as I know, you also received a comment from Lisa Curtis and Liz Lee, who is here also, where we are really quite unhappy about the unilateral decision by the village board to install a skateboarding park in the Hasbrook Park. It just doesn't seem that you people really thought about what everything it would involve for the park itself, which is a gathering place of many, many people for very many different activities, not only during the pandemic, even before. It is a nice, quiet place. There are special events happening there. There is a limited parking in that area, and to have a skateboarding park directly in the village, considering the noise it makes, unfortunately, that is a very loud and noisy activity, seems very inconsiderate. There are many other areas, I think, and some of us on Elting Avenue also think that there are many other areas where the where the skateboarding park would be much better off, because it would not really interfere with other activities and it wouldn't bother too many people. And even if it would be very large, as the notice by Terence a few weeks ago in the paper indicated that it's going to be probably the biggest part in the county, meaning that's going to be a lot of people coming here instead of people going somewhere else. That would be a parking problem. And remember, when the college comes back full-time, as they think, the likelihood that, again, the students will be parking around the park as well as on Elting Avenue is more than likely. And it just would be too much traffic in that area. We have the children's ground, the playground, and there is a sort of a basketball court. And people use the grassy area for very many things. So, how did you come to the decision to propose that this ring is going to be installed in here? Why suddenly? I know that last year there was a letter in the paper by some teenager who was saying, you know, this is a sport which we all like very much and we would like to have a good facility. Fine, I accept the fact that I think it's a very dangerous sport. I think fine, if they want to enjoy it, go and enjoy it, but don't do it in the streets, which many of them do, and don't do it on a skating board, which 5 people of the village board decided this is a good place to have when it would be affecting so many, I would say hundreds of people who may be inconvenienced by this. So I would like you to explain how this came about, and are you willing to consider our concerns and suggestions for another place?
Hi, Misha. Well, what we were trying to do by citing a skate park where the playground used to be sited at Hasbrook Park is, we're intentionally calling it a skate garden. So it includes, maintaining the existing trees that are there. And the thought behind skate gardens is that you want to actually encourage people to come and use your outdoor recreation assets. You want people to come outside and go to the park, whether they're playing pickleball or basketball or having a picnic or doing yoga or playing pickup soccer or visiting the playground. I mean, that's kind of, what I would describe as like the vision for a park, a publicly owned asset like this. I mean, our village board has made a very significant investment in preserving open space in the northern part of the village at the Millbrook Preserve. That is a different type of outdoor recreation asset where you can have a quieter walk, which is, I think, along the lines of what you're describing. But what we're trying to do is to encourage the community to gather in a single place. And so let's say you have a kid of one age who's enjoying skateboarding, and then, parents got some kids in the playground, and then, some other family member is just, quietly enjoying some reading under a tree. The idea is that you have these things all in one place to encourage community gathering. And the noise concern, this has actually been studied pretty significantly, by other communities where folks are nervous about the noise that skateboarding makes. And
well, we are not nervous. This is unfortunately a fact of life, that when you hear a skating board going by, it is noisy.
Please don't interrupt.
And
Please
and
don't
saying
interrupt.
that.
Excuse me,
Sorry?
please don't interrupt. Thank you.
Sorry.
Don't interrupt. Thank you.
So the studies indicate that skateboarding does not make any more noise than any other park-like activity. I probably live closer to the park than
Yes.
any other person in the village of New Paltz. And the amount of recreational enjoyment that I witness on a daily basis makes my heart swell. I love the idea that human beings have a place to gather and enjoy and recreate. And I think what we're trying to do is to make it very clear that this is where you go and do that in New Paltz. And, you know, we currently have kids who, as you pointed out, skateboard in spots where they probably shouldn't be skateboarding, on streets, on private property. And it would make a whole lot more sense if they were in a place that has been reviewed by our insurance company and that they have signed off on as a place that's considered a safe spot for them to gather. So, you know, that's the reason that this site was identified. The other, I see your hand. I'll let you comment as soon as I'm done completing my thought. You know, well, go ahead now. You forced me to lose my train of thought. Go ahead, Misha.
Oh, well, you know, that's funny that you said the insurance company will insure it as a safe place. Well, they can insure any area where the skating board would be it by the community center, for instance. There is a lot of underutilized or totally not utilized space, and it wouldn't interfere with anything and anybody. It is also sort of within walking distance. Many of us have walked to the community center from the village, walked, not necessarily drove. And you say it would be a safe area for them. Well, if they don't wear a helmet and if they don't wear knee pads, doesn't matter how safe the environment may be, if they don't have a helmet and they fall, and if you are going to have a park and you really want people to come there and congregate and skateboard around and do these jumps and whatnot, well, there are going to be accidents. I cannot imagine there wouldn't be, especially if you know, now you see 4 or 5 guys doing this, but now you are saying you want to invite 50 people to do all this and enjoy and see how community gathers for a peaceful, quiet, whatever you said, enjoyment of the life. I don't know. It seems to me it doesn't make sense what you are saying, Tim. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, I remembered what I was, the thought I was trying to complete earlier. I think there's also an important distinction to be made between the construction of this skate garden and the plan or the skate garden that currently exists in Gardner, for instance. They have metal ramps, which end up being a lot louder. And this skate garden by design is a concrete structure. I actually visited a concrete structured skate garden this weekend, and was paying close attention to the noise. And it's probably quieter than you would imagine. It's quieter than skateboarding on blacktop, for instance. But to also respond to your other point, and I thought I was trying to do that in my comment, is like the reason that we want this near the other recreation activities like pickleball and basketball and the playground is so folks can get together, and maybe you can do more than one thing in an afternoon, or it is a central gathering spot. It is about promoting community. It is about encouraging kids to get outside instead of staring at screens. It is about promoting a healthy lifestyle. That is what we're trying to do, as opposed to make skateboarding illegal or tell kids not to do things where they could skin their knees, like ride their bikes or play pickleball or play tennis. Those would also be considered activities that individuals could potentially harm themselves. So
may I?
Sure.
May I? mean, you say you want to have all these recreational activities together. Well, maybe you will next time, maybe you will bring the swimming pool right into here. Or maybe you will bring the area which is on clear water, which is such an enormous ball games fields. You want to have everything everywhere together? Well, that's perfectly impossible.
Well, we're not gonna add the baseball fields and lacrosse fields and everything else at Clearwater at Field of Dreams because they would not fit. And we're also not gonna construct a pool when we already have one.
Exactly.
So this is a much smaller area than a pool would take. But KT wanted to.
Yeah,
This was a
I
joke.
really
Okay, this
appreciate-
was a joke.
Oh, okay, good, because I was like, up to then, I was cool, but that was a bit hyperbolic. And actually, thank you, because we need to know what we need to communicate out about the project to neighbors and the community and about why we're doing this. And I know Alex probably has a lot of responses that she's writing down over there about specifics of things. But thank you for sending in your concerns because we need to know how to describe this and make it better where need be. I just fiercely support this project. And while we do a lot for youth in our community, we're in a crisis situation. And there is a great need to do more. And this is just one of the things we need to do. We're losing our children to the opioid crisis, suicide. We have kids transitioning out of remote school. That was devastating for their mental health. We need to provide outside alternatives, healthy gathering places, especially in the core of our community. Please keep expressing your concerns, but I do believe that there is going to be a lot of support for this project because it is going to be so incredibly positive.
You know, what's incredible is that the first time.
Misha, can we?
This can't be a back and forth.
Yeah,
so
Misha,
we
Ms.
can go to
Lee
Alex,
had her hand up. Did you want to go
Oh,
ahead?
sorry,
and
yeah.
make a comment?
Sorry, Liz.
Okay. Can I make my public comment to Ms. Tobin? So it sounds like that what you just said was that it's a done deal. There, even though we send in comments about our concerns, it doesn't matter because you are already supporting this and that why bother for the residents around the area? That's one thing. That's responding to your comment. The other thing is I live on Tricor Avenue and I agree with Tim Rogers that the park is used for many activities for the residents, especially for the parents of young children. And these parents of young children feel that this park, the Hasbrook Park, is accessible and safe and secure for their children. And we have, because the skate park is going to be large, it decreases the green space to have community events like the summer concerts for village and town residents to enjoy. There was, I even brought my children to the circus that was there. And the families come there, especially during this pandemic, that they come there for picnics. And there won't be any space for them to do that. Also, the gazebo, this is what I heard. It may not be true, but the gazebo was planning to be removed. And that gazebo is the only shaded spot in that park where parents can I finish?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Right? When I finish, then you could respond to my concerns. Now, the gazebo is the only shaded spot where parents can watch their children. And So I am concerned about the cost of the liability insurance because we are the ones that are going to pay. It's going to come out of our taxes to pay for this liability insurance. And that I agree with Misha, that there will be accidents where there'll be fractures of the limbs and concussions because the teenagers do not wear helmets. And I feel that there are other better locations for this skateboard park. And one of them is by the Field of Dreams or the old Veterans Drive where the town hall was grazed, or else the back of the youth center. So in closing, I really hope that the village board would reconsider not using Hasbro Park as a site for the skateboard park. Okay, now, you had responses?
Can I just make a few points of clarification on this project since it's, been pretty much my life for the past year. So I can make sure you get a copy of the design, which it's been shared pretty publicly. We do need to actually get that onto the website, like in a permanent position and stuff. But I'll make sure you get that so you can better picture the model. Is like a 3D model basically. And so without having that in front of us, the footprint of this skate garden basically stays within the memorial trees that are in the corner where the playground used to be. So it's an organic shaped thing because again, it is a garden where actually the folks who are working, the young folks who are working on the Village Hall landscaping pollinator project have their eyes on helping out with this, skate garden project next. So we have that part, figured out. So it's an organic shape within those trees. So next time you walk down there, just, take a look at the large trees in the corner that has nothing in it, where no one has sat in quite some time since we actually, built the new playground. So you'll see it's also quite far away from the gazebo, which is not going anywhere. I love that gazebo and I love the whole open space. That's why I'm very excited. We're having Pride in the park there on June 5th. You guys see me there all the time, doing exactly what you described, just chilling in the grass. So none of that is going away. It is in that part where literally there's been just dirt for a year. And so as far as public opinion, I've been working very closely with no less than 75 very active New Paltz volunteers for the past year on this. And we've had about a dozen public meetings that were, advertised in the paper, in public meetings, on social media, word of mouth, actual flyers distributed by these volunteers, and so on. The first of those meetings was in person. I don't have in front of me how many people were in attendance, but it was one of the largest meetings I've ever attended in my life since being here in New Paltz in 2003. So working with those, those core folks this past year, and they represent also, by the way, they all come from a different group, be it like an actual or organized group of people, or a not organized group of people, like a family. So, the 75 is not even a finite number. And that's just the core volunteers who've shown up at least a dozen meetings the past year and helped make this whole thing happen. So I hope that addresses two things. The other part is, that's our public park. So it makes sense to, just put our recreation features in our recreation park. And the other issue that was very important to me, as a kid, I'm the oldest of four, grew up, my parents couldn't always afford childcare. So we had to all do whatever everyone could do when we would do something recreationally. Because my dad couldn't, have one of us have a babysitter at the skate park, which was indoors, and basically my younger siblings weren't allowed in it when I was into that, but we all had to be together, right? So that severely limited my ability to be a pro skater. So this location is perfect because you can have, the whole family hang out. I imagine myself, like 13-year-old Alex with my 3 little siblings all doing their thing and me getting to hang with my friends and learn how to do awesome tricks. The other part about that location is that it is walking distance from the middle school. I personally don't like the idea of, that you just both proposed sending middle school students walking alone or skating in the street alone all the way to the community center or some other location because that's what they do after school. So I like that path. It works really well. Same with, the college demographic and the rest of us who live our awesome walkable downtown. But I have so much more stuff to share with you guys, and I'm sure all of the, tons of people who've been working very, very hard on this for the past year and change would love to, share all that with you. I'll make sure you see the model.
We should move on though.
Yeah.
May I say that's very interesting that, Alex, what you said, that you have 75 people or so, and there were how many, 20 or how many public hearings? Well, as I say, even though I read this letter by the kid about a year ago or whenever, the next time I knew that there is a done deal is last month, what was reported in the paper. So it's like to do something like this, such a big change to a common area, shouldn't it have been really announced? This is what we are considering, and solicit comments and from everybody. There were no articles. I don't remember reading, and I read the paper from cover to cover. I don't remember anything saying, okay, several months ago saying the village is prepared to build this wonderful skating rink for everybody's enjoyment. No, nothing until Terence wrote this article. And I don't think that's right. Also, we don't know, I'm sure that's going to cost money. Who is going to pay for it? Is it going to be our taxes going up to support this particular activity, which is going to benefit what? Maybe 30, 50 teenagers?
We really do need to move on. We have a full agenda ahead of us, and
but we can answer your question, Misha. It's the intention from the beginning is that volunteers were looking to raise funds privately to construct this project.
Interesting. So in other words, it's a deal done.
No, nothing. This is the government, so nothing is a deal done until it's done. This will take many years and a lot of effort on several individuals to realize, a good, important project like this.
Okay, several years. All right.
Several years already, and several more years are what we're anticipating. Do we have any other public comments?
Hunter and Tiffy, who next not here tonight, they cannot figure out how to log on. But I can read their comment.
Okay.
This comment is by two 11-year-olds. This is Hunter and Pippi of 60 South Chestnut Street, so also just a block from the park. We are 11 years old and have been skateboarding for 4 years, though we are a little bad at skateboarding right now since we haven't gone in a while because of COVID. We used to skate in Gardner at Majestic and were part of a skate crew of many kids, some older, some younger than us. There is nowhere to skateboard in New Paltz, and we are so excited to hopefully have a skate garden 1 block from our house. Skating teaches us empowerment, gives us confidence, and is a sport that we like because we don't like other sports. All the other sports have their thing in New Paltz, like baseball, football, basketball, and tennis, but there is no skate park. It's an Olympic sport, and I think a skate garden would be amazing for the younger kids and anyone really. Also, skateboarding is awesome for everyone, says Tiffy. Gardner is too far, and my mom prefers not to drive. Thank you for hopefully building an awesome skate park.
Thank you, Hunter and Pippi.
And then we also had a comment that was mailed in from Ms. Curtis, a resident of Elbing, expressing concerns and reservations similar to Misha's about maybe siting the park at Moriel Pool Park, or is this the best use of impervious surface? Does it potentially impact the park's overall character? So, let's continue to discuss some concerns, and maybe these concerns can be mitigated with design features, or we should continue to have this conversation. Okay, I motion that we move the consent agenda. All in favor? Next item is access easement at 85 North Chestnut Street. So this is the project that we're working on to create a connection from Henry W. across North Chestnut, across the property that's currently owned by the Sertas, and that would allow people to go directly to the rail trail. And the construction will be funded by New York State, the Empire State Trail Project. So we just needed this easement, and it seems like we have a resolution here authorizing our signature to approve access to Mr. Serta's property so that this path to the rail trail can be constructed, so folks don't have to go to either Mulberry or Broadhead to get to the rail trail. So I motion that we move the easement. All in favor?
Aye.
The next item is a proposal to hire Mark Lauer as our grant writer to apply to CDBG. We received some excellent news Friday evening that we received just over $800,000 to upgrade parts of our sewer infrastructure that helps with our inflow and infiltration. This is incredibly important stuff, because when we have large rain events, sometimes we have a lot of pressure where raw sewage discharges from our maintenance hole covers in select spots in the village, and then it can also push up against our permitted allowances in terms of how much material we can process down at our wastewater treatment plant. So this is probably the most effective thing that we can do to manage and protect the capacity of our wastewater treatment plant. So I motion that we go ahead and hire Mark to apply again, so that we can continue to address the consent order that the DEC has, because they do not like that our conveyance system has these shortcomings. All in favor?
Aye.
And I motion that we conduct a public hearing on June 23rd regarding a CDBG application. All in favor?
Aye.
And I motion that we declare the village board as lead agency for the Mountain Rest Road groundwater project. That's required per seeker. All in favor?
Aye.
And we're really pleased that we received a waiver from the town board last week, and then on Monday night, the town planning board okayed this subdivision of the 2.4 acres of land that we'd be buying from the Mohonk Preserve, so that we can augment our 60-odd acre water treatment plant property at Mountain Rest Road. So thanks to both of those boards, because this is your water. We're just the local administrator responsible for making sure that municipal water is available. Next item, this is, I'm going to move each of these items together. This is regarding the Mountain Rest Road groundwater project. This is secret determination. I move items A through E. Someone want to second it?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other piece to our groundwater project is pursuing seeker approvals for the groundwater, the 2 groundwater wells at the Moriel Pool property on the northern side of that park. I motion that we move items A through E.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we're at item 8. So Alex, why don't you walk us through the resolution that you wrote on our behalf for us to consider as a board?
Yeah, so this is a resolution of the Village of New Paltz Board of Trustees memorializing June 2021 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month, announcing it's the Village of New Paltz Pride in the Park event to be held on Saturday, June 5th. Should I read the whole thing or just go into the therefore be it resolved?
I mean,
Very long
maybe just summarize the,
Yeah, take
some of the
some select,
points.
yeah, it's kind of
to
long.
It is a
Explain the
long one.
nature of the resolution, and then you could read a couple of the therefores.
Great, so, you know, I hope everyone checks out this resolution after the fact because I tried to encapsulate some LGBTQ history, which is a lot of what Pride is all about. You know, it's about remembering the past and also celebrating our, you know, LGBTQ plus, you know, selves. And if you're not queer, then you're friends like me. And so, where's the whereas? So one whereas is about our own history as New Paltz. Village of New Paltz made history at Peace Park on February 27th. 2004 is the location of the first same-sex marriages in the country outside of San Francisco, where under former Mayor Jason West, who was subsequently arrested. And so our community has been hosting the annual Pride Parade and Festival in June for going on 2 decades. And as we should all be well aware, our LGBTQ plus history, our people in the United States have, you know, faced so many disparities in employment, healthcare, education, housing, many other areas central to the pursuit of happiness in our society. There's also, we should acknowledge that LGBT plus people and youth especially are at increased risk of suicide, homelessness, and being the targets of bullying and violence. And so that's just a quick summary. Therefore, be it resolved that we declare June 2021 LGBT plus Pride Month and memorialize it as such in this resolution as a symbol that we stand as allies in an intersectional LGBTQ plus movement that continues to struggle with ongoing issues of racial and economic justice in a global pandemic, which has prevented us from marching together since 2019. Therefore, be it resolved that the Village of New Paltz Board of Trustees stands committed and united to help break down the walls of fear and prejudice and will work to build a bridge to understanding and acceptance until all LGBTQ plus people are afforded the same rights and responsibilities as all Americans. And therefore be it resolved that we hereby call upon residents, employers, public officials, and all community members to work together to promote equal rights for all, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, and we further encourage all to observe the month of June with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities, whether with us at our community celebration in Hasbrook Park on Saturday, June 5th, from 1 until 5 p.m., or virtual, or done at home, or finally out and about elsewhere with loved ones we haven't seen in way too long after this year plus of isolation, that celebrate our diversity and recognize LGBTQ plus Americans whose many and varied contributions have enriched our lives. And we'll send this off to all the higher up elected officials.
Thank you so much for taking the lead on this, Alex.
Thanks. So, yeah, I'd like to motion for that resolution.
Yeah, excellent and important resolution. Thank you for working on that.
Thanks, everyone.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we have the Compassionate New York resolution.
So this is an agenda. It's a coalition. Let me pull that one up now. Of many advocacy groups that have put together what's called the Compassionate New York Legislative Agenda, which addresses 3 interconnected public health crises, ultimately saving thousands of lives and billions of dollars.
And the idea, what they're advocating for the package is single payer system to reduce healthcare costs by eliminating administrative waste, et cetera, all the arguments for single payer, as well as what is it called with the evictions? I can't remember. But to fight for folks that are at risk of eviction, are housing insecure, or are paying untenable shares of their income towards their housing needs. So it's renters' rights, as well as to reduce racist mass incarceration. I'm sorry, it's like 8 million degrees in here, and I'm like barely hanging on. Supervisor Vitez and I spoke last week in Kingston about this, and I talked about how in the village of New Paltz, 3 out of 4 homes are rentals, and that a big part of our job this past year or so as a responsive government has been attending to make sure people don't lose their homes. Alex has been a big part of that, and on average, she's received 1.5 cases per week with tenants with issues. So we know that the skyrocketing costs of housing is creating crisis level housing instability in our region, and that we're not okay. And the inequality in our state was the worst state. We were the worst state in inequality before COVID, and now it's on steroids, and the bifurcation between the fortunate and the struggling continues, and there's so many that aren't okay. So I spoke in support of this because we really need to talk about how these types of policies are compassionate and will actually significantly, concretely improve the standard of living and reduce the stress on households. They're pushing Albany to do this before they end session. I don't know if that's going to happen. Definitely good cause eviction. Okay, so maybe some of the things and not the other things.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's definite, but
right,
you know.
right. Well, we'll see. When is session
for
over, actually?
Possibly June 10th.
Right, so it's coming up soon. So that's why we send these messages up to Albany about legislation that we know will improve the lives of our constituents. So that's why I'm in support of this and asked you all to share me in my support. Did I move it? So I move this resolution.
Second.
My last moving of a resolution, I said, so I move this revolution. I want to do that too.
Yeah.
Second? Can I have a second? All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for writing this.
I didn't write it. Nobody Leads Easement Hudson is one of the coalition groups, and I got it from them. I'm not sure that they're the authors, but there's quite a few advocacy groups like the amazing Nobody Leaves Easement Hudson who are part of this.
I motion that we move bills and claims.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Planning board update?
I wasn't available to attend on Tuesdays, sorry.
CBA update?
I think last meeting, I didn't CBA update you, so this is a couple of weeks old. Before the CBA was 85 North Chestnut, otherwise known as Main Street Auto, for 3-story mixed use. Bill might have mentioned this at the last meeting. The planning board is the lead agency. There's a height variance, so that's why the CBA is involved. And then on Huguenot Street, right at the border of the town village section, properties 191 to 193, that house, beautiful old home in the Hasbrook family. They want to subdivide the land. There's 2 houses on the land. So they need 3 different area variances. Side yard variance, it's only like 1.92 feet. Front yard variance, roughly 16 feet, and then the portion of the driveway exceeds 30% of the frontage. So it was originally brought for the first time, and I think we've got the next meeting more to come with that. What number do you know? It's 191 to 193. There's been 2 homes on it this full time for many years. And they just want to subdivide it so each home has their own.
You can comment on 85 North Chestnut that's moved up to county for review.
And that's just a height variance that they need for a few feet, right? So the code allows for, I think, 35 feet. It's like 3.5 stories and 35 feet. And I think the pitch of the roof requires.
That's right. Yeah, it's like 40, 38.
Okay, if that's all we have.
Hmm?
Do we have language for that?
I do, I got something.
Okay, great.
I can send it to you. I don't know if you guys wanted to talk about that, like, in exec session.
It's not a bad idea. Should motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
You want to pause the camera?
Or maybe we should just go in the other room.
I think you could all just shut your cameras off and your
We can keep
mics
the
off.
cameras on, we just need to turn the audio off.
The waiters.
Yeah.
Put your mask on.
No.
All right, bye.
second.
Oh, okay. Oh. Do you want to turn?
Did you send me that,
I did, it's in the
language?
chat.
Oh, yeah. So are we live now? Or do you need to turn us on?
No, you guys are good.
I motion that we change the employment status for Nicole Manco from part-time to full-time effective June 1, 2021 with an annual salary of $40,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh, actually, KT.
Second.
We got aye, does that mean you have?
That's right.
Tim will tell you, we don't even have to technically do the closing.
As long as you guys leave,
Yeah,
the
the
meeting's over.
technically just ends when you walk out the room.
Ends when it ends.
Looks like we're still.
Are we, did you